Hello world, it's me, Chima, and today is a very special day for me because it is the 1 year anniversary of when I started seeing a therapist. And I want to just go ahead and make this video and just talk about that experience and just sort of reflect on all the changes that have happened since then. And I also want to get back into the swing of things when making videos, so that's part of what this video is about too. So let's go ahead and get started. So 1 year ago today was when it happened. I first sat in the office and met my therapist for the very first time, and it has been an experience. Like, when I first started, what I wanted out of it was to just almost like to get it over with quickly, almost, really. But the longer I've been at it, the more helpful it's been, and the more I want to keep doing it and see what else I can do. So I would say the most important thing I've learned so far is to just trust in the work and that it'll do what it's supposed to do. And I think that's helped me a lot, for sure. And I'm glad that I've stuck with it the way I have, too, because it's easy to just want to give up, especially on more difficult days. It's like it's easy to want to give up on it, but it is definitely helpful. And I really enjoy talking to my therapist. He's extremely knowledgeable, extremely like open-minded and things like that. He understands that I have to do the work myself, and he doesn't try to like steer me in any particular way, even though of course he wants what's best for me, naturally, always, of course. But in the end, like, he recognizes that I have to do the work myself, and I have to actually do the work, of course. And so I would definitely say it's important to remember that you have to do the work, and that's how you're going to get the most out of therapy. And I just, recently, in recent days especially, I've been really having to be more introspective, because I know a lot of you know this, that the last, like, November and December were very difficult months for me. January, for a long time, was a difficult month. It wasn't until like halfway through that I really started feeling like myself again. And there was just a lot of difficult times in my life during the past like 2.5 months, like in terms of like work and like home life and with my friends and things like that. And just, it was not easy. It's been a very difficult couple of months, and trying to like get back on track has been really just, it's been hard, but I feel like I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. I'm finally starting to make time for myself too. And I think the past year of therapy has been extremely helpful. Like, a lot of my close friends have said they've noticed the change in me. And it hasn't just been my physical health improving, like, it's been my mental health too, for sure. And I know the work that I have to do. I know some of it. Like, I think the longer I've stayed in therapy, the more I've realized that what I thought I wanted out of it ends up changing. So that's definitely a point to remember, is that when you start therapy, you might not end up staying the course. Like, you may sit there and say, these are my goals. You're probably not going to have those same goals as you start moving towards those goals. And it's not like it's like the goalpost moving further and further. Just realizing, like, that the best way to be the best version of yourself, I guess, is to be open to the possibility of change. And that's really important for like doing this and taking back your mental health. That's the phrase I use for myself, is taking back my mental health, because that's basically what it has been for me, is to finally be the person that I want to be. And it's been really hard to see that I never knew who I was. I've never been the person I want to be. I think that's the hardest realization I came to so far in this past year, is that I've spent all my entire life not being who I want to be. And even more recently, in recent days, I've felt this disconnect between my inner desires and my outer behavior. And there's a lot to it. There's not just like one or two things. Like, I've started realizing, like, there is one thing in particular that's like very easy for me to identify as a disconnect between my inner wishes and my behavior, but that's sort of like, because it involves someone else, like, I can't really like do too much to control that. So that requires a lot more discipline on my part. But I think one of the biggest things is recognizing that there are ways in which my inner desires are not being met, that it gives me like goals to work towards in therapy. But you shouldn't really be thinking about therapy as like in terms of goals. Like it should just be like a continuous thing. And that's another thing I've learned, is that therapy is going to be a continuous thing. And just like everyone's mental health journey is its own continuous thing. So I'm hoping to just keep continuing as best as I can. And I know this is supposed to be like a kind of like a pep talk and all, but it's been kind of interesting the past year, just realizing what is important to me, who is important to me. And I think I learned a lot about myself, the fact that I do want to help others, the fact that I know with much greater clarity what I like and what I don't like, what I like about myself, what I feel like could use improvement, and even then the things that like I have to accept about myself. Because one of the things I'm realizing is that I have to give myself the space to be myself, to love myself, and to just exist. And the thing is, it's like when I think about how I feel towards like David or anyone else, like when I give them the space to be themselves without any judgment, without any expectations, I felt myself grow to love that person. My love for them changed, and my love for them grew. Like it wasn't just one person, it was like every single person I did this with. And it made me realize that it's possible for people to change. Obviously, of course, I would never say that's impossible. People that say people never change, that's not true. Like people can change the things they have to want to change. And that's not always easy. It's not always easy to change, but that's what I'm realizing about myself, is that I do want to change, and I know some of the ways to change, and I'm working towards that. And back to what I was saying earlier about giving people the space to just be them and to accept them and love them like that. That's something I need to do for myself, honestly. I need to love myself the way I have other people to love, basically. So that's been like the big thing recently, is to allow myself the space to just exist and to love myself and accept myself in spite of my perceived flaws of myself. But ultimately, I've learned a lot of important things over the last year. I'm excited to see where else it's going to go. And for right now, I'm really looking forward to being able to just work on accepting myself, giving myself the space to exist, bridging my inner self and my outer behavior to come together, and most importantly, to just celebrate my existence, because I think that is a lot of where my discontent, my inner discontent, is coming from. Is I feel like I don't celebrate myself, or that maybe I'm scared of people judging me, or that no one's going to care, or anything like that. But ultimately, the work I've done so far has led me to this point where I can say with like no hesitation that I've made great progress over the last year. And so I wanted to get started back on pep talks, because there's something that are meaningful to me. It's my way of communicating my own feelings with others, and it's a way of giving back to people. And I think giving back is always really important in terms of just being good to each other, being good to our world, being good to ourselves. It's something that I truly love to do, and I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to continuing to grow in 2020 and this entire decade, because I feel like more than ever I feel certain of what I want out of life, and that's a really good feeling. So if you are looking for a mental health specialist for yourself, I definitely recommend it. Try to find one in your area, ask a friend, go online. If you're in Chicago, I can definitely recommend quite a few people, and I very strongly recommend just doing what's best for yourself, because I can tell you therapy works. If you're willing to put in the work, therapy absolutely works, and you should definitely consider it, make it a priority, and always just get a part of your self-care routine, because it's absolutely worth it. I definitely, like, I don't doubt that at all. Absolutely. And just, I'm so excited about what the year has in store for me, because this first year of therapy has been really good for me. I mean, nothing less. So I know we're like 7 weeks into 2020, so it's kind of weird for me to be talking about like the start of a year and stuff, but I don't know. It's a hallmark for me, and that's why it matters most. So here's hoping for an amazing year. Here's hoping for another amazing year of therapy with amazing breakthroughs, with just incredible happenings, basically. Like, I've had to encounter some hard truths about myself over the past year, and I know it's not going to be easy even still, but it's been worth it. I've seen the results, and even when I stumble, I get back up. Like, the recovery is not linear. Taking my mental health back has not been linear, but what I've done has been good, and I'm proud of it. And I want everyone to have that opportunity that I have, because it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. It is meaningful, and it's worth it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else I can get done, and just being at peace with myself and radiating love like I want to, and living without limits. That's ultimately really all I want. If you want to talk more, go ahead and hit me up on social media. It's me, Chima, basically everywhere. And let's just talk about it. Let's live without limits together. And let's be the best versions of ourselves together. So thank you very much. Hit that like button, that subscribe, that share, hit the comments. And remember, live without limits, Chima loves you. Good night. See you soon. Bye-bye.